excited about following somebody called Vlad. Bit too much Jesus material for my liking, though. But he did redeem it with the hairy monkey pussy. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. Satan's the name. Acts of pure, unadulterated evil are the game. And Wordle as well. I do like a nice game of Wordle. It helps while away eternity. If indeed it counts as a game, does it count as a game? I'm not sure. It's more kind of solo activity, really, isn't it? Sir, you look like you might be an expert on solo acts of entertainment. Would you say that Wordle was a game? You wouldn't say Wordle was a game. No, did you get today's Wordle?
Not today, no.
Not today, didn't get today's Wordle. Well, don't worry in case any of the rest of you haven't got round to doing Wordle yet today. The word is sweet. It's sweet. Yeah, that's right. The looks of horror and shock on your faces you can't believe. I said today's Wordle. Well, that's just the kind of guy I am. Yeah, so strap in. The kind of guy who goes around telling people what today's Wordle is before they've had a chance to do it. Although, frankly, if you haven't got round to it by whatever the time is now, you really need to crack on with it. But yes, hello, madam. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. But you know my name, of course you do, for I have many. Satan, Lucifer, Beelzebub, the Dark Lord, Prince of Hell, Mr. Sexy. King of the Flames, Lord of the Flies, Cock of the Walk, Top of the Pops. King of the Hill, hey number one, these little town blues. Oh, I have all the best tunes. Yes, how are we, Telford? Are we well? Vaulting bunch of specimens. Good, absolutely splendid to hear. Of course, if I'm up here on the surface, it means I'm doing one of three things. Harvesting souls, tempting people to commit wicked deeds, or promoting my podcast. You know, you've got to have a podcast nowadays, even if you're the Dark Lord of Hell. It's a very, very important way of maintaining a following. You've got to keep up to date with the technology. It's exactly the same reason that I've recently joined the TikTok. Anybody else here on the TikTok? Yeah, you look like a TikTok kind of crowd. Basically, for those of you who don't know what the TikTok is, basically it's a never-ending column of looping videos of dancing jailbait. And I thoroughly recommend it. Now, I shouldn't beat around the bush any further, really. I've got to be honest, I am here to make an announcement of sorts. It's not very easy for me to say this, but here goes. This is a very serious moment, madam. This is not the place for laughter. This is the Telford Comedy Club. A serious announcement. I'd like to apologize for some of my past behavior. Some of the things that I did were wrong. In fact, they all were. And I've got to learn to move forward, to own my mistakes, to acknowledge them, but to move forward and become a better person. So I need to look back on those things and realize that they were wrong then and they're wrong now. You know, when I tempted Jesus Christ out in the desert, that was wrong of me. It was wrong. When I was egging on Adolf Hitler, that was wrong. That was wrong of me, wasn't it? When I persuaded Kurt Zuma to start getting a bit more inventive with his keepy-uppies, by incorporating his cat. No, that was wrong of me. It was wrong. It's good to have cat abuse back in the news, though. Do you know? Some years ago, I persuaded a woman to put a cat in a bin. And I often look back on that as my proudest achievement. But no, I'm trying to turn over a new leaf now and become a better man. I've got to learn to have some new hobbies. I've been thinking of taking up baking, for instance. Earlier on today, I was doing some baking. I set the oven to 180 degrees, and then I pushed some children. Old habits die hard. But yes, of course, if we are to acknowledge the evils within us, we have to know what for instance, what the 7 deadly sins are. So I wonder if amongst you here at the Telford Comedy Club, I feel like you've probably got most of them covered in here. Could we have some examples? Could you shout out, "Madam with the red coat, could you give me one of the 7 deadly sins"?
Jealousy.
No, jealousy is not one of the 7 deadly sins. No, it's not. Have we got anybody who can shout them out?
Adultery.
Yes.
Adultery.
Adultery is not. I mean, you can crack on. I mean, I'd like to point out that this isn't my list. This is the absolutely, yeah.
Covet thy neighbour's ass.
I mean, I live in hell, and I've got some pretty freaky neighbours. And quite kinky as well. I don't think they'd mind if I coveted their ass, to be quite honest. Any more? Last, gluttony, greed, envy, sloth indeed. Any more? No? Okay, well, we got most of them. I'll give you a rundown. You obviously need a tutoring in this. You know what to look out for and what to avoid. This is about avoidance, of course. The 7 deadly sins. So, lust, envy, wrath, greed, gluttony, sloth, and pride. But of course, you need some examples of all the following, so let's have some examples. Lust. An example of lust would be the emotion that all the ladies in the room are feeling towards me right now. Yes, lust. Envy, an example of envy would be the emotion that this gentleman feels towards me right now. Wrath. An example of wrath would be the emotion that Khan feels in the second Star Trek film. But she's, of course, the most famous example of wrath. Greed. An example of greed would be my plans for all the ladies in the room after the show. Gluttony. Now, a lot of people think that greed and gluttony are the same thing, but in actual fact they are subtly different. You see, greed is about the accumulation of things, whereas gluttony, the word glutton actually comes from the Latin gluttia, which means to gulp down or swallow. And I'll let you provide your own punchline there. Sloth. A lot of people think that sloth is laziness, but in actual fact, it's a sin to be a sloth. It really is that simple. It's one of the few things that he and I have got in common. He just can't stand fucking sloths. Hairy bastards. Pride, the 7th sin, an example of pride would be rainbow flags, leather trousers, that sort of thing. Yes, indeed, absolutely. Well, I mean, a lot of people are surprised by that last one, you see. I don't see why they should be surprised. I mean, he's very old-fashioned about that sort of thing. Not like us in hell, you see. I say, come on, very welcoming. I love the LGBTQIs. I love them all. Come and have a big party. A little bit uncertainty on some of your faces as to whether this is a homophobic bit. Because on the one hand, I'm saying that I'm a fan of the LGBTs. On the other hand, I am Satan. Welcome to moral complexities. Yes. But no, he's old-fashioned about that. So, and do you know what it says in his special book about this? It says in Leviticus 18:22, it says, "Thou shalt not lie with a man as with a woman. It is an abomination." An abomination. Can you imagine what would happen if you wrote that on Twitter? But he gets to put it in his special book, and apparently I'm the baddie. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever, does it? None whatsoever. So, on that final note, I will just say, My podcast? Are we fans of podcasts here? Yeah, absolutely. Sir, what's your favourite podcast? He doesn't watch any of them. It's an audio podcast, so that won't offer any problems whatsoever. So you can feel free not to watch this. It's called Tea with the Devil, and it's available on all the good podcast apps. What's it called? Tea with the Devil. What's it available on? This was supposed to be my triumphant end when I got on the stage. It's about all good podcast apps indeed. Right, I will see you in hell!